Hey everybody, my name is Jon Troutman. I'm the EVP of Commerce and Operations at VeeFriends, and we are at VeeCon 2023. You can see all the flashing lights and buzz going on in the background. It's been a super exciting couple of days here in Indianapolis. Really excited to introduce you to the three folks to the left of me, but before I do, what are we doing here today and why are we gathered around? We're going to talk about the accounting for the future and the future of accounting, which accounting, not the sexiest topic when it comes to crypto. I think a lot of people are talking about high-priced NFTs and all the other hoopla that can come with, at first blush, what is the world of Web3? I think we want to go a little bit of a layer deeper and really understand that accounting is going to be fundamental to just about anything in the world of Web3. And so who better than the people to the left of me to talk about that today? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them to do a brief round of intros and then go into it a notch deeper.
Thank you very much. I'm a little offended. Accounting is super sexy. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm Trevor Ward. I am the Director of Content Marketing for Bitwave, and I jokingly refer to myself as the world's most exotic accountant because I'm actually a CPA as well that is a marketer. So and I'll talk a little bit more about Bitwave and what we do, I'm sure, in the panel here. So awesome to be here.
Thank you. I'm Christine Melilli. I am a tax manager at Smolin Lupin. We are the accountants for VeeFriends. I'm super excited to be at my first VeeCon conference. We handle everything tax, audit, advisory, but as the gentleman before me spoke, we're going to get into something a little bit deeper, a little bit different this time around. So very excited to be here.
Thank you. And Lee Holtzman, Senior Accountant at Smolin Lupin. We're part of the team that supports the VeeFriends and the Gary staff and operations for the accounting and tax world for the operations.
So Trevor, I want to start with you.
All right.
We're going to talk a little bit about the sexy side of accounting.
Okay.
Introduce us to what Bitwave is, kind of what the company is, the vision for it, a little bit about the history of it. I know it's a relatively young company. It's grown really quickly with good reason. So we'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about the firm.
Absolutely. So blockchains are incredible innovations in that we've created a technology where we can prove ownership and transact all without central intermediaries, without a centralized database. But blockchains have one major drawback, and it's that they don't integrate, they aren't compatible with our existing finance and accounting systems. So the data is really mostly all there on the blockchain, but getting it and extracting that data, turning it into usable financial data is a whole different story. So what Bitwave does is we've been around since 2018. We're really the first enterprise digital asset accounting and tax software. And what we do is we extract that data from blockchains, from DeFi protocols, custodians, exchanges, NFT marketplaces, you name it. We organize and clean up that data for tax and accounting purposes, and then we feed it all seamlessly into your existing ERP or accounting system. So whether it's NetSuite or QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, SAP, you name it.
Super helpful stage you just set. I think on the flip side, I'd love to turn it over to Christine to talk a little bit about Smolin, which from a history perspective, the company's got a little bit of deeper roots, has worked with a range of different companies in a number of sectors, but I think good juxtaposition to talk a little bit about kind of what we're doing together here with Trevor.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. So as you said, John, Smolin Lupin's we're a full-service traditional tax advisory and accounting, public accounting firm. So what the heck are we doing here at VeeCon 2023? But we're not here just to support our client, VeeFriends and Gary V, but really the Web3 community as a whole. We fully believe that the Web3 community is here to stay, that the Web3 world isn't going anywhere. And our firm takes the position and advocates for being proactive rather than reactive in the marketplace. And so Lee and I have been on this journey now in the Web3 world. We've gone to a lot of conferences. We've met numerous professionals in this space, trying to leverage those relationships. And one of the relationships we formed is with Bitwave. And it's been amazing. After a lot of trial and error and crashing platforms, we found Bitwave to be the best product that for our clients. And so we've been recommending them. So when we had this opportunity to be here at VeeCon and do this panel with them, we just thought it seemed like a natural fit and a great opportunity for us.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah,
on that?
please chime in.
I feel like I need to brag about Smolin in return, right? It's really interesting. We were talking about it at dinner last night that really everyone is new in this space because the space is new, right? If you're in a different industry doing accounting or services for them, you might get laughed out of the room if you don't know even just some of the basic terminology. It's not really the case with digital assets. And so it's really, really cool to find firms that have been around and have an established reputation, but they get where the puck is going and they're like, we need to figure this out. And so it's very much a collaborative effort. And just talking to you guys about like, what are your clients seeing, right? And also getting feedback from you on how do we make the product better? How do we fit your needs? Because ultimately, you're the ones that are using it, or your clients are using it.
I love that. I think it actually sets the stage a little bit to talk more about Bitwave in that clearly you're a company that's on the brink of innovation. The last 15 years in general, so much of the talk is around SaaS and software as a service tools, and in blockchain technology, talk a lot about dApps. I would say accounting, though, for the most part as a category has been a little bit stagnant in terms of the tools that have emerged really outside of Intuit and QuickBooks and some of the things that emerged a couple decades ago. Talk about Bitwave and how, in many ways, you're kind of disrupting this new technology and how you think about being leaders in that space.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because if you look at the history of accounting and finance tools, they've sort of evolved along with computers and the internet. So it really wasn't that long ago that we were using handwritten ledgers and like actual binders to record transactions, right? I still meet accountants that are the OGs in the space that was like, oh, I remember when we, did it on handwritten ledgers. And then computers came along, and with it came the spreadsheet software, right? Like Lotus Notes and Excel, right? Which we kind of take that for granted because it's been around for forever, but it was a game changer for its time. That was all kind of the Web 1 era of accounting. And then with cloud computing, you get cloud accounting, right? Like QuickBooks and NetSuite and all of these cloud accounting softwares, which has been awesome. Now with digital assets, they're really revolutionizing and changing the way that we do business. And the way that we see it is our accounting tools and finance tools just need to update with the way that business is changing. I mean, the fact that we're here at VeeCon and Gary Vee, one of the most prolific, iconic entrepreneurs, is heavily involved with NFTs and digital assets. It tells you about where business is going and how we need to step up and meet some of those challenges from a software perspective.
So Trevor, you're coming from the tech and tool side of it. I'd love to turn it over to Lee to talk a little bit about what that conversation is like with some of your clients, as most aren't quite as progressive maybe as we are at VeeFriends, but like, what is the narrative like right now with some of your more established companies and maybe more traditional categories, and how are you hand-holding them into the world of Web3 and crypto for the very first time?
So it's important to understand in the crypto accounting and the digital asset space that it's not all just about NFTs and the creation. We've seen a lot of consumer product goods, also graphic designers starting to want to accept cryptocurrency as a forms of payment. So we've been having to work with them in addition to their fiat currency of starting to accept that. So that's something that we've partnered with Bitwave and to put them on this subledger in addition to their ERP to help out with the accounting process. So it was something very difficult. I mean, Trevor said it really well that we used to go off of Etherscan, for example, and download a big CSV file, and sort of something like equate to we'll call them the older people in the office used to talk about always using their green sheets and having the columns foot and add it across and whatnot. And I think it's going to be something in the future where the Web3 space starts to grow. As you see, there's over 8,000 people outside of attending VeeCon. But using those spreadsheets, we're going to look back into the future when I'm starting to retire, and I'm going to be saying to the new interns and whatnot, hey, I used to do that on spreadsheets. We used to have to manipulate the inventory data and the cost basis by hand, and now they're all using softwares like Bitwave and whatnot. So it's really a change.
You just made a great point, Lee, and I think it's that it's not just NFT projects that are launching. Yes, there's the VeeFriends of the world and the Moonbirds of the world, which I know friends of ours, Kevin Rose, that are using Bitwave. Can you talk about just the range of different types of clients that are currently operating and using Bitwave technology to power and support the business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's interesting because when we started, it was like we could just go to anyone and it's like, do you have crypto on your balance sheet? Like, all right, cool, let's use Bitwave. But now, I mean, only a few years later, we have verticals and a number of verticals, right? Where we're working with a number of clients that are in Web3 gaming and GameFi, like Shrapnel. We obviously really big in the NFT space, where we've got VeeFriends, obviously a client, a favorite client. Don't tell anyone. I'm just kidding. Art Blocks, Yuga Labs, but also marketplaces, right? Which there's a lot of. We work with OpenSea, Magic Eden, and there's really, I mean, different implications there. And then we're starting to see like major brands like Nike, right? Nike's a client, and working with them on their dot swoosh and like their digital sneakers that they've rolled out with Artifact. But then there's also DeFi. I mean, this whole world of DeFi, crypto mining companies. So it like really just anyone and everyone that's dealing with digital assets. And the way that we think about it in the NFT space particularly is there's kind of three different categories. So the creators, the artists themselves, the marketplaces, and then the actual buyers and holders. And there's different, it's funny because we say, yeah, it's really not, accounting is not sexy. It's one of those things that's like kind of an afterthought. No one wants to think about it. They want to talk about the cool thing they're building. But what everyone does care about is how much money did I make on this? And how much did I make after taxes? Oh yeah, I have to pay taxes on NFTs, right? So being able to track that, especially if you're an artist, right? Like what's your cost basis when you mint an NFT, right? What's tracking revenue, tracking expenses, making sure that you're keeping track of your gas fees and deducting that if you're able to, right? But then for like NFT marketplaces, 50 million transactions a year is nothing in the NFT marketplace space. So, for example, OpenSea is a client, and when we met them, they were doing everything on manual spreadsheets. So, and they were like, this is literally impossible. So having a tool to easily extract the data, organize it in a way that makes sense, and then going beyond that, having partners like Smolin that can help like make sense of this and understand the space. It's absolutely necessary in this space of digital assets.
The anecdote about OpenSea and the fact that prior to joining you over at Bitwave, they were doing everything manually brings up an interesting thought, is actually trying to work there and manually track all that stuff. So it might be a good segue to just talk about the people side of the business beyond just the clients and the business side. Like massive tectonic shifts in like the actual talent and the education and the kind of like understanding of crypto, and how do you actually implement that internally at your companies. Maybe Lee, I'd love for you to start with us. Just tell us like what that's looked like at Smolin in the last couple of years, and how, at a operational level, how you're bringing everybody along for the ride and getting them up to speed on kind of like what this new world entails.
Yeah, so definitely the cryptocurrency word is still an elephant in the room in the accounting industry. I think it's made a big change from last year to this year. But the ones that are accepting and really diving headfirst into this Web3 world are the younger professionals in the industry. And I think that's a way that they're really going to start excelling their career and make a name for themselves, how quickly this whole technology is being accepted and being rolled out. For example, we just brought out Nike, and we see a bunch of big luxury brands implementing that into the purchase of their products for authenticity, and there's a royalty feature behind it. So there's a lot of application to the use behind it. Now, going back, it's been sort of a younger professional's role in taking on this type of work. And I have to give credit to our executive team for enlisting the resources and the learning that Christine and I, and as well as our other team members, have been fortunate enough to go out to these CPE events to learn about the industry. And one of the brightest things that we've seen going out to these CPE events is it's really a collaborative network where we don't know everything, but we're having relationships and developing partnerships where we can call up, for example, Bitwave, and we're coming, and it's such a new industry that we're developing the solutions as we go, and we're really working together. And that's something that's really bright. And truthfully, I don't see it in a lot of other industries working in accounting. For example, if you don't know something and you call up another accounting firm, they might be going after your client or looking at you the wrong way and questioning your credibility. But I think us taking the leap and being able to serve our clients and being proactive, we're going to be there for them in the future.
If I could just add to that as well, the collaborative effort, 100% in agreement with. It's been great, all the relationships and trying to learn the best practices that other firms are doing, other professionals in this industry. But I would say as far as because of the disruption, I could tell you, I know, and probably a lot of CPAs know this, that nobody's coming into the accounting industry. The declared majors for accounting are at an all-time low, and the trajectory for it is to continue downward. I think now is a great time for young people to become accountants. I think it is looking much sexier than ever before. I think a lot of the older people who have been in this they're not really wanting to maybe take this on, but if you are thinking about the finance and accounting field to enter, I think now is a great time. Get into a field when there is a lot going on, a lot of change going on. Get in on the ground level while all the change is happening. So that would be my advice also to any firms or any kids out there thinking about what they want to do in the future with their career. I think now is a great time. And I think the possibilities with this are going to be endless. We don't even see it yet.
I think for Bitwave in particular, it really starts with hiring awesome people. We joke sometimes that we hunt for the unicorns, that it's very rare that you find an accountant that understands crypto, right? The fact that I'm our marketing director, but I'm also a CPA and can speak to some of the technical challenges in our content. And then also, not to keep tooting my own horn here, but I actually started at Bitwave really recently through an acquisition. I started a company called Multisig Media to help educate accounting and finance professionals. And Bitwave's whole idea in acquiring us is there has to be education. So we're going to build out Bitwave U and really lean heavily into the education aspect, work with our partners, and just continue the collaborative effort of educating people. And then just internally, if you go on our Slack, it's just all day long. It's we have all these threads of here's what's happening in the news, right? Oh, this business is doing this with NFTs, or just really knowing where things are moving. And it's a fast changing industry, so keeping up with all that's happening.
I guess with that, what would be maybe just one piece of advice, knowing that a lot of people that might be watching this content are firms that are considering evolving and launching a blockchain based product for the very first time, like what would be your advice going into this for those folks as they think about going into what is otherwise maybe a kind of a scary world, especially given the kind of lack of regulatory clarity in some cases? How do we define this as an asset, a security, whatever it might be? Like, what's the one piece of advice you want to give those executives?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think I would first say is be really clear on your strategy. Why are you using blockchain, or why are you using digital assets? I mean, I think Gary Vee is a great example, and VeeFriends, right? Having a clear roadmap of, it wasn't just, well, we're just going to create NFTs and see what happens, right? Like, there's obviously conferences to go with it, and being very intentional, but then also just don't let the less exciting aspects be an afterthought, because having the financial infrastructure, having the accounting and tax partners in place, and really they've probably seen a lot of what you're trying to do, and they can either answer your questions for you or connect you with people that have the answers. So find trusted partners that know what they're doing and have helped other businesses do it, and really lean on them for getting help. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I of course my answer is going to be a little biased, but get a good trusted advisor. If you use an entrepreneur as an example, they're very fast-paced, forward-looking. They're not looking in the rear view mirror. So to that point, you need a trusted advisor who's really going to steer you the right way. And like you said, Trevor, if you don't know the answer, we can get it for you. You do what you do best. Let us do what we do best. So that would be my piece of advice.
Well, I'll second that as well, but I would like to talk about what I think we both think what a trusted advisor is, and also what a partner is in the industry. You see a lot of firms that will go on and take on the work just because they're looking to service a client, looking to get paid and whatnot. But for example, with our VeeFriends connection, we're in constant contact at least once, 2, 3 times a day. And for example, we were just out at their office on Tuesday to touch base and before this conference. So I think you really need to develop that relationship and a partnership with your advisors, your accountants, your software company, and have them be there for you. And just because he's serving your family and it's been a family relationship, it doesn't mean, and there's no hard feelings in this industry, there's plenty of work to go around. There might be other individuals and there might be other advisors that would be better serving you in the Web3 space versus, let's say, someone that's has a concentration in the medical space, in the dental practice space, or in the consumer product wholesaling space. So it's really finding someone with that concentration or that and that ambition and can talk to you with you and help you get through those problems. So
yeah, you know what, Lee, that's a great point. If you had a headache, you're not going, to a podiatrist, right?
Yes.
Just because they're both doctors, right? So, yeah, I think that's a great point. You go to a trusted advisor who knows what they're talking about for your particular purpose. Could be great medical practice, right? That could be, or construction, or whatever their specialty might be, but it may not be in the Web3 and crypto NFT world.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having let's go back to the medical reference again, having a GP overseeing your whole operation and whatnot, but bring in a specialist to help out with the one-offs and handling the crypto and overseeing the bookkeepers and the Bitwave and the whole digital asset accounting community. So, and these entrepreneurs are so busy running their business and whatnot, they really don't have the time to be handling and overseeing the day-to-day operations. So there's nothing wrong with bringing in, and there's a collaborative effort. I think we work better together in teams too.
Any parting words? Things you want to leave behind that we didn't get a chance to touch on?
Yeah, I think one thing I'll say is there's a lot of noise in the digital asset space, and this is kind of continuing your question of what advice would I give to enterprises that are seriously thinking about implementing digital assets using blockchain, there's a lot of noise. There are lots of scams in crypto. There is a lot of it really is just hype. But I would encourage you to not just dismiss it as, oh, it's gambling or it's used for money laundering or illicit finance. And I think the fact that we do see major brands using this technology speaks to its validity. It's not going away. And so, at the very least, take time to learn about it. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to create a wallet, just get some crypto on your balance sheet, even if it's a small amount, start using it. Because that's the way that I think a lot of us have learned, is just using it, transacting with it, holding it. It's not going away. So at least take time to learn about it. And then if you decide this doesn't make sense for your business, fine. But you might find that there is a real use case for it.
No, I think we've covered a lot here. I think we've given a lot of information to our viewers. But I agree with Trevor. Maybe dip your toe in. I'm not that type of person. I'm kind of like a all-in person. But for somebody who's maybe a little skeptical or a little nervous about it, I think opening a wallet's a great way. It's not going to make or break you. Just try it out. Like anything else, like Trevor said, you just a little bit of practice and use, and then you can make a decision from there. But thank you very much for having us.
I love that. I couldn't think of better closing words than, there's the theory of accounting. I think there's nothing that you can replicate than getting your hands dirty and actually opening those wallets and going through the transactions and being hands-on. I think we're officially going to rebrand this panel to Bringing Sexy Back in Accounting. We've gotten there. We've gotten there. Lee, Christine, Trevor, thank you so much. Really enjoyed the time. And enjoy the rest of your VeeCon.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
That's great.